YouTube. So I'm out working on the truck again. Just put a new serpentine belt on here because the old one had gone out of the range. It was way over here. And I thought that was the reason why my truck wasn't charging. I'm only getting about 11 volts out of it. I got the new belt on here and it's not making any difference. So I'm going to change out the voltage regulator that's built into the alternator. 90 on up, Ford integrated the voltage regulator into the alternator. So if that goes out, and they do, it happens. To get the serpentine belt on and off, you need a big breaker bar. And in this case, you need a 5/8 socket. And then all you do is just put a little muscle into it. Once the tension's off, you just pull the belt off the pulleys. The older models, you had to run the belt over the fan. Another thing is, if you're working on these trucks, good thing to get is one of these crescent wrenches that's marked metric on one side and imperial on the other, because you're going to find half of the bolts are metric, the other half are imperial. When you pull these alternators off, be aware that you have these little spacers in here. Make sure these don't fall out. Okay, we got the alternator off. Top bolt is 14 millimeter. Bottom bolt is 5/8. If you need to replace the alternator as a whole, you need to take this pulley off first before you take the bolts and the serpentine belt off. There's no way you can get this tight enough or jam it solidly enough to get that nut off. You need to use an impact wrench. As you can see, the big heavy wires right here, these go up to your starter solenoid and to your battery. The smaller wires are what connect into your vehicle's electrical system. And that is your voltage regulator. To get these off, what works best is a small flat tip screwdriver. Like this one I just bought out of a pawn shop. Heat it up with a propane torch, bend it, and when you get it into the shape that you need, quench it in water to harden it so that it'll... And remember that your electrical plug comes in from the side, so your brushes are going to go towards the bottom. To put this all back together, put your springs in, and then you need to push your brushes down and then using a paper clip of some kind, slide your paper clip through while pushing down on your brushes, and you'll see there's a little hole in there to help keep it in place. Finished installing the new voltage regulator. Hook up the wiring harness. That just pops right in. Again, this is the cover that was missing off the old one. And once you have this installed, remember that your paper clip just holds the two brushes as you're installing them onto the armature. Now that this is installed, you can just pull that right out. And there you go. I got the top bolt tightened up, got the bottom bolt tightened up, and you can hear it's nice and smooth. There's no clicking, there's nothing dragging on it, so that means that the brushes are seated the way they're supposed to be. Take your serpentine belt, and run it down around your crank pulley first. Then take your end, run it underneath, and run it around your power steering and your air conditioner. Put your brake bar onto the tensioner, take the tension off, and slip the belt up over the alternator and underneath the tensioner. Now, double check, and this is extremely important, that all of the ribs are lined up in the pulley, and the crankshaft is not. So I need to take the tension back off just a little bit, and there we go. You have to do that before you start the engine, otherwise you'll shred that serpentine belt. They do not line up by themselves. Truck is charging at 14 volts the way it's supposed to.